Queen Elizabeth II's children-in-law. Thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom is mother to 4 children: Charles, Anne, Andrew, and Edward. Their fairy tale weddings and scandalous adulteries and split-ups have captured public attention for the last 4 decades, and their wives and husbands have had crucial roles to play in shaping the modern royal family. Let's meet Queen Elizabeth's 6 children-in-law. Diana Spencer was born on July 1, 1961. Her mother Frances was the daughter of the Irish Baron of Fermoy and granddaughter of an American heiress. Her father John was the Earl of Spencer and a member of the prominent aristocratic Spencer family, with royal connections going back to Henry VIII. Diana's cousin was Prime Minister Winston Churchill. As the daughter of an earl, she was styled Lady. She had older sisters Sarah and Jane, and an older brother John, who died shortly after birth. Diana was followed by a younger brother Charles, who is the current Earl of Spencer. The children grew up at Park House on the Sandringham estate, which their father rented from the royal family. There, Diana was often playmates with the younger princes, Andrew and Edward, and she daydreamed that she would one day marry Prince Andrew. When Diana was 7, her parents divorced. She was prevented from seeing her mother and had a poor relationship with her stepmother. She attended boarding school and failed her O-levels twice, but she enjoyed playing piano, swimming, diving, and ballet. She attended finishing school in Switzerland, then moved to London, where her mother bought her a flat, which she shared with 2 friends. She took cooking classes, taught children's dance, and worked as a nanny, preschool assistant, and party hostess. Diana first met Prince Charles at a country shooting party when she was 16 and he 29, and dating her older sister Sarah. They met again 2 years later at a polo match, and he took a serious interest in her. He invited her aboard the royal yacht Britannia and then to Balmoral Castle to meet his family. Charles proposed in 1981, and she selected her own engagement ring, a 12-carat oval sapphire surrounded by 14 diamonds. During their engagement, she smiled adoringly at her prince. When asked if they were in love, Charles answered, "Whatever in love means." Diana's life changed instantly. She gave up her jobs and moved into Buckingham Palace, where she felt isolated and alone. She was stalked by the paparazzi, but given no guidance from the royal family. She suffered from bulimia, depression, and anxiety, which continued for much of her life. Days before the wedding, she found a bracelet Charles had designed for his old girlfriend Camilla, but she felt she couldn't back out of the wedding at that point. On July 29, 1981, Diana walked down the aisle of St. Paul's Cathedral in her massive fairy tale Emmanuel's gown. She donned the antique Spencer tiara. The event was watched by 750 million people worldwide, surpassing the moon landing. Charles and Diana were the first royal couple to kiss from the balcony of Buckingham Palace. The newlyweds took a 14-day honeymoon cruise in the Mediterranean aboard Britannia, but Charles was far more interested in reading than in his new bride, with whom he had a 13-year age gap and little in common. They had numerous arguments, and Diana spent much of the cruise crying alone in her cabin. Back home, the couple moved into an apartment at Kensington Palace and Charles's new manor, Highgrove House. While pregnant, Diana was feeling so low that she threw herself down a flight of stairs. She was bruised, but Prince William was born healthy on June 21, 1982. Diana suffered from postpartum depression and was overwhelmed by her role as a royal. She insisted on taking William on a tour of Australia and New Zealand. There, Diana was a sensation and unintentionally stole the spotlight from Charles, widening the chasm between them. Diana was adored by the public, and her clothes and creativity with the scant jewelry given to her by Charles and the Queen made her a fashion icon. Fame opens royals and other celebrities up to all kinds of criminals, dangerous fans, and identity thieves. And they have to spend millions a year on security. But even us regular folks have to take precautions to protect ourselves and our data. We don't need to spend millions on a team of former MI5 bodyguards when there's Surfshark. This fast and reliable VPN, virtual private network, keeps you safe online by encrypting all the data sent between your device and the internet. This keeps your personal information protected from big companies and cyber criminals. I was hacked while using Wi-Fi in a coffee shop, and ever since, I always turn on my VPN while working away from home. In addition to peace of mind, a VPN also offers some fun perks. Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, so you can change your location to get access to content only available overseas. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out. So go to my link in the description and use code HOLIDAY to get 85% off your subscription to Surfshark, plus 3 extra months free. And now, back to history. Prince Harry was born on September 15, 1984. Diana's children were the center of her world. She personally took care of them and spent far more time with them than was expected of a royal. She insisted that they attend school with other children rather than being tutored at the palace. She took them to Disney World and McDonald's, as well as AIDS clinics and homeless shelters. But the boys got a front row seat to her emotional turmoil and instability. William recalled pushing tissues under the door while his mother spent hours crying in her room. Charles had rekindled his relationship with Camilla, and Diana began having affairs of her own. Private phone conversations between Diana and a friend and Charles and Camilla were leaked to the press. It was now clear to the public that the royal marriage was in trouble. In 1992, the couple announced their separation. In 1995, Diana gave an explosive TV interview, stating, "There were 3 of us in the marriage, so it was a bit crowded." She also expressed doubts about Charles's suitability to be king. The Queen was outraged and advised the couple to divorce. Diana received a lump sum of £17 million and a lifetime allowance of £400,000 per year. She lost her title, Her Royal Highness, and instead was styled Diana, Princess of Wales. Diana continued to live at the Kensington Palace apartment. She devoted her time to charity work. She fought the stigma of AIDS by visiting and hugging patients. She worked to ban landmines and donated many of her famous clothes to raise money for research on children's cancer, HIV, and leprosy. While visiting ill children in London, she met British-Pakistani heart surgeon Hasnet Khan. They had a secret relationship for 2 years. Her butler smuggled him in and out of Kensington in the trunk of his car. She traveled to Lahore to visit his family. She wanted to take the relationship public, but Hasnet was intensely private, and their relationship ended in a shouting match. In the summer of 1997, Diana took William and Harry to the south of France with her new boyfriend, Dodi Fayed, the son of an Egyptian millionaire. On the night of August 31st, 1997, while traveling in a car in Paris, Diana and Dodi were chased by a photographer on a motorcycle. Their driver lost control and crashed into a tunnel. Diana was rushed to a hospital where she died hours later. Dodi Fayed and the driver were also killed. The sudden death of the beloved 36-year-old princess shocked the world. At her funeral, Elton John performed Candle in the Wind, rewritten as a tribute to England's Rose. Diana was buried on an island within the grounds of Antwerp Park, the Spencer family home. Both William and Harry have gone to great lengths to protect their own wives and children from paparazzi, and both gave their daughters, Charlotte and Lilibet, the middle name Diana. Camilla Shand was born on July 17, 1947, in London. Her father, Bruce, was an army officer turned businessman, and her mother, Rosalind, was the daughter of Baron Ashcombe. Her mother's grandmother was Alice Keppel, one of King Edward VII's mistresses. Camilla has a younger sister, Annabel, and a brother, Mark. The family was upper class and grew up at The Lanes, an 18th century country estate in Sussex, and a 3-story mansion in the fashionable Kensington neighborhood of London. Camilla had a happy childhood, was an avid reader, and took writing lessons. She attended finishing school in Switzerland and then studied French in Paris. In 1965, she was a debutante. She moved to London and worked as a secretary. She was fired from one job for coming in late after spending the night before out dancing. In the late 60s, she met Andrew Parker Bowles, and they had an on-off relationship for several years. They broke up in 1970, and Andrew began dating Princess Anne. Camilla and the royals were in the same social circles, and she formally met Charles at a party in 1971. They began dating and met each other's families. In 1973, Charles was sent overseas with the Navy, and his relationship with Camilla ended abruptly. It's not clear exactly why. It may be that Charles wasn't ready to settle down, but more likely they were broken up by members of the royal family who felt Camilla was not a suitable future queen. Charles's uncle, Lord Mountbatten, was pushing the prince towards his granddaughter, Amanda Knotchbull, while the Queen Mum favored the Spencer girls, granddaughters of her lady-in-waiting. Within months, Camilla married Andrew Parker Bowles in a Catholic ceremony attended by the Queen Mum, Princess Anne, and Princess Margaret. The couple had 2 children, Tom and Laura. In 1979, Lord Mountbatten was assassinated by the IRA. Charles was grief-stricken and leaned on Camilla for support. Andrew approved of his wife's affair with the prince, and he had lovers of his own throughout their marriage. But Charles finally bowed to family pressure and married the woman hand-picked for him, Diana Spencer. He has denied that he spent the night before his wedding with Camilla, but they picked up their affair shortly after he returned from his disastrous honeymoon. Camilla and Andrew divorced in 1994, and Charles and Diana in 1996. The prince declared his relationship with Camilla non-negotiable. He hired an advisor to rehab both of their public images. Slowly, she began to be seen with him at public events. In 2005, Charles and Camilla finally wed in a civil ceremony. The marriage was controversial, but the Queen and the government approved. As Charles's wife, Camilla was technically Princess of Wales, but as the title was associated with Princess Diana, she used the lesser title Duchess of Cornwall. There was speculation about what Camilla would be called once Charles became king, but over the years she has become more accepted as a member of the royal family. On September 8, 2022, Queen Elizabeth died, and her son became King Charles III. The palace's announcement of the Queen's death confirmed that Camilla would be Queen Consort. She was by her husband's side at his mother's funeral and when he was proclaimed king. Charles and Camilla will be crowned together at a coronation at Westminster Abbey on May 6, 2023. Mark Phillips was born on September 22, 1948. Mark's maternal grandfather was a brigadier and aide-de-camp or military assistant to King George VI. His father Peter was a major in the army, and his mother Anne served in the Women's Royal Navy Service during World War II. After the war, the couple had Mark and his younger sister Sarah. Mark attended the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst. He was a reserve on the British equestrian team at the 1968 Olympics. He was commissioned second lieutenant in the Queen's Dragoon Guards and was later promoted to captain. He met fellow equestrian Princess Anne on the competition circuit. The couple wed in Westminster Abbey on November 14, 1973, and Mark became the first in-law to join Queen Elizabeth's family. He was offered an earldom, but the couple didn't want to burden their children with the title. They did accept Gatcombe Park Estate in Gloucestershire from the Queen. While the newlyweds were returning to Buckingham Palace late one night, a gunman blocked their car and began firing at them, shooting their bodyguard, driver, and a nearby journalist. The gunman shrieked that he would kidnap Anne and hold her ransom for £3 million. Anne responded, "Not bloody likely," and locked the doors. Police arrived and the gunman was captured. All involved recovered. Mark was appointed personal aide-de-camp to his mother-in-law. As part of the British equestrian team, he won a world title in 1970, a European title in 1971, and an Olympic gold medal in 1972. He and Anne welcomed 2 children, Peter in 1977 and Zara in 1981. At the 1988 Olympics, his horse was injured and he was unable to compete, but he won a silver medal as part of the British team. In 1985, while visiting New Zealand for an equestrian event, Mark had a one-night stand with Heather Tonkin, which produced a daughter, Felicity. Mark and Anne's relationship had been under strain for years when private love letters to Anne from Timothy Laurence were printed in the paper. She and Mark announced their separation in 1989. Mark moved in to a farmhouse on Anne's estate to remain near their children. The couple claimed there were no plans for divorce, but in 1991, Heather Tonkin took Mark to court. He had denied Felicity was his and refused to pay child support, but DNA testing proved that he was the father. Neither Mark nor his other children have ever met Felicity. Mark and Anne divorced in 1992. Anne married Timothy Laurence, and Mark married Sandy Pfluger, an American Olympic dressage rider. Their daughter Stephanie was born in 1997 and grew up at Aston Farm, Gatcombe Park, close to Mark's older children. She was one of Zara's bridesmaids. Mark designs events for horse trials and is a regular columnist for Horse and Hound magazine. In 2012, he divorced Sandy and is now involved with another woman, Lauren Huff. Timothy Laurence was born on March 1, 1955, in South London. He is a descendant of Zachariah Levy, a Jewish merchant who immigrated from Venice in the 1700s and changed the family name to Laurence. His father was a salesman, and he has an older brother, Jonathan. Timothy attended the University of Durham on a naval scholarship. He captained the cricket team, edited the student newspaper, and earned a Bachelor of Science degree. He was commissioned as a midshipman in the Royal Navy in 1973. He served on several ships, including the Royal Yacht Britannia from 1980 to 1982. In 1986, he was appointed equerry, or personal assistant, to the Queen. During this time, he made the acquaintance of Princess Anne, whose marriage to Mark Phillips was on the rocks. In 1989, Timothy's private love letters to Anne were stolen and published. At the time, the Church of England did not allow divorced people to remarry, but the Church of Scotland did. So Anne and Timothy married in a private ceremony at Carthy Church near Balmoral Castle on December 12, 1992. Anne was 42 and Timothy 37. He was not granted a peerage. He continued to serve aboard British naval ships around the world until 1998, when he joined the Ministry of Defense back home in Britain. He attained the rank of Vice Admiral and was appointed a personal aide-de-camp to the Queen before retiring in 2010. He is now involved in a number of property development companies and charitable organizations. In 2011, he was invested as a Knight Commander of the Royal Victorian Order. The couple share their time between Gatcombe Park and an apartment at St. James Palace. Timothy was seen with his wife walking behind Queen Elizabeth's coffin at her many funeral events. Sarah Ferguson was born on October 15, 1959, in London. She described her family as country gentry with a bit of old money. She is a descendant of King Charles II via 3 of his illegitimate children: Charles Lennox, Duke of Richmond, James Scott, Duke of Monmouth, and Anne Leonard, Countess of Sussex. She is also distantly related to the modern royal family through King Charles I. Sarah grew up on a farm in Hampshire with her older sister Jane. Her father, Major Ronald Ferguson, was a polo manager for many years to Prince Philip and Prince Charles. Through this connection, Sarah met Prince Andrew several times in her youth. At school, she was bubbly and outgoing. She didn't excel academically, but was talented in sport. When she was in her teens, her parents' marriage disintegrated, and Sarah began overeating for comfort. Her parents both remarried, and her father had 3 more children: Andrew, Alice, and Elizabeth. Her mother, Susan, moved to Argentina. After school, Sarah worked as a cleaner and waitress while completing secretarial college. She moved to London and worked at an art gallery, public relations firm, and a publishing company. At the 1985 Royal Ascot, Sarah became reacquainted with Prince Andrew, and the pair began dating. She accompanied Princess Diana during her tour of Andrew's ship, HMS Brazen. The future sisters-in-law were 4th cousins and became close friends when Diana was 19 and Sarah 21, before their royal marriages. In 1986, Andrew proposed with a Burmese ruby ring he designed to match Sarah's auburn hair. The couple wed at Westminster Abbey on July 23, 1986. Andrew was created Duke of York, and Sarah joined in on his royal engagements and international tours. Fun and friendly Sarah, called Fergie, was considered a grand new addition to the royal family. She earned a private pilot's license. Sarah and Diana continued a close relationship and bonded over their shared experience of being thrust into royal duties and the media spotlight. Sarah was 2 years older and tried to protect Diana like a younger sister. But Sarah was often frustrated that the press cast Diana as the saint and she as the sinner, stating, "Bad Fergie sold an awful lot of papers." While visiting New York City, Sarah was nearly attacked by a man with an IRA flag who shouted "Murderers 3-8" at her. During her first pregnancy, Sarah gained weight and was bullied in the press with names like the Duchess of Pork and Fat Fergie. She welcomed a daughter, Beatrice, on August 8, 1988. She took up exercise to lose weight and was then criticized for not gaining enough during her second pregnancy. The scrutiny impacted her self-esteem and caused her eating disorders to worsen. Her second child, Eugenie, was born via cesarean section on March 23, 1990. Andrew's duties as a naval officer kept him away for long periods of time. Sarah only saw him 40 days a year for the first 5 years of their marriage. She was also struggling with her royal duties. The couple announced their separation in 1992, and the Queen announced that she would no longer pay Sarah's debts or send her on royal engagements. The Daily Mirror published photographs of Sarah sunbathing topless while her financial manager kissed her toes. The Duchess was roasted in the press and became further estranged from the royal family. She and Andrew divorced in 1996. She relinquished the title of Her Royal Highness, but retained the style Duchess of York. Sarah received a lump sum of £2 million and a monthly allowance. The couple shared custody of their daughters and remained friendly. They shared homes, Sunning Hill Park, and then Royal Lodge, Windsor, and have gone on vacation together with their daughters. In the mid-90s, Sarah was £4 million in debt, and she went on an earnings spree in the U.S. She was a spokesperson for Weight Watchers, wrote children's books, appeared on reality TV shows, and tried unsuccessfully to launch a lifestyle brand. Sarah was in New York on September 11, 2001, and was expected in the offices of her charity, Chances for Children, on the 101st floor of One World Trade Center. But her interview on the Today Show ran late, and she watched the terrorist attacks unfold from the studio. Sarah continued to overspend, and her debts piled. She was caught on video soliciting a £500,000 bribe from an undercover reporter for access to her royal ex-husband. In 2011, Jeffrey Epstein paid off some of her debts. Sarah occasionally attends royal events with her daughters and ex-husband. She was not invited to Prince Edward or Prince William's weddings. She was invited to Prince Harry's wedding, but was upset at being excluded from the reception. Because of their close relationship, there have long been rumors that she and Prince Andrew might get back together. Prince Andrew's friendship with sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein and allegations that he had sex with an underage girl have irrevocably ruined his reputation, though he avoided prosecution. Amid public outcry, Andrew was forced to resign from all public roles in 2020. Sarah told reporters, "I still love him. I will stay by his side because I believe in him. He is a good man." Sarah sat with the royal family at the Queen's funeral. Sophie Rhys-Jones was born on January 20th, 1965 in Oxford. Aside from being a descendant from 15th century King Henry IV, her family is middle class. Her father has roots in Wales and was a tire salesman. Her mother was a secretary. Sophie grew up in a 4-bedroom 17th century farmhouse in Kent. After school, she trained as a secretary at West Kent College and launched a career in public relations. In 1987, while working for Capital Radio, she first met Prince Edward. He was dating a friend of hers at the time. They met again at a photo shoot in 1993 and began dating. In 1996, Sophie and a partner founded their own firm, RJH Public Relations. Because of her career in media, Sophie has a great deal of savvy and did well in dealing with the onslaught of press attention that comes with dating a royal. While on vacation in the Bahamas, Edward proposed. The couple wed on June 19, 1999, at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, in a much smaller ceremony than Edward's elder siblings had. They were created Earl and Countess of Wessex. They honeymooned at Balmoral Castle in Scotland and moved to Bagshot Park in Surrey. In 2001, Sophie was rushed to the hospital, where it was discovered that she was suffering from an ectopic pregnancy, and the fetus had to be removed. On November 8, 2003, she went into premature labor due to a sudden placental abruption. With both mother and child at risk, Sophie underwent an emergency cesarean. Her daughter Louise was delivered safely. On December 17, 2007, she delivered a son, James, who was granted the title Viscount Severn in honor of her Welsh heritage. Because the children were born before the 2013 Succession to the Crown Act, James is in line to the throne before his older sister. The Wessexes conduct numerous royal public engagements and international tours. In 2011, they visited troops in Afghanistan. They established the Wessex Youth Trust, which supports charitable work to benefit young people. Amid the royal rift with Prince Harry and Meghan, Sophie has been seen increasingly as a steadying, down-to-earth force in the royal family. The Queen gifted her several pieces of heirloom jewelry, far more than she gave her other daughters-in-law. It was the Queen and Prince Philip's wish that his title, Duke of Edinburgh, be granted to Edward. When Philip died, the title was automatically inherited by his eldest son, Charles. When he became king, he had the right to grant it to his brother, but he has yet to honor his parents' wishes. In the next episode, we'll meet Queen Elizabeth's 6 grandchildren-in-law, the likely future queen, the controversial actress, the law-changing Canadian, the professional athlete, and the family-moneyed entrepreneurs keeping the young, lower down the line of succession Windsors in the upper class. A special thank you goes to my patrons, Briannon and Day Day. Don't want to wait to see the next episode? Patrons get exclusive early access to almost all of my multi-part series on Patreon early. If you would like to become a patron and help me make more fascinating history videos, check out the link in the description. Thank you for watching.